Luke here of SimBoxx. Delighted today to be joined by another first-time guest on the channel in unbeaten Scottish boxing prospect, Stephen Newns Jr. Stephen, thanks for joining us on the channel today. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, and thanks for having me on. Delighted to be here.
Absolute pleasure. Now, as I say, when we have someone on for the first time on the channel and we have a bit of time, I'd like to go back to where it all started. Where did the Stephen Newns boxing journey begin? What was your first intro, your first memories of the sport of boxing?
So my dad started taking me to the boxing gym when I was around maybe 7, 8 years old, because he was a coach at the time for Newton Hill Boxing Club. So when I first began, boxing was there, which is only about 2 miles from where I used to stay. Um, and I just started coming along with my dad 2 or 3 times a week, just for a bit of fun, something different to do. I played football as well along that, but I was obviously like competitive in football, whereas boxing you had to wait until you were 11 to actually have a competitive contest. And my mum wasn't keen on me doing it anyway, but had a good few fights when I was younger. Started taking it a bit more seriously when I was maybe 13, 14, getting on the Scotland team when I won the nationals. Went to the British down in Manchester when I was 13. Got to travel to the Isle of Man as well. And then just kind of kept it going. I was like all through my high school years, managed to get to like travel to the Europeans, go to Russia. Um, and then since like winning the senior nationals when I was 19, it's just kind of been like my thing. I knew that I was going to like do really well as a boxer, and I thought, I might as well just stick to this while I'm still young, but before I'm too old to do it. Here I am, 27, still doing it. Served a long time in the amateurs. Obviously, got 2 cycles of the Commonwealth Games. Won a few national titles. Travelled the world, been to all the big multi-nation tournaments and the majors. Boxed against some of the best guys in the world. And yeah, the journey it still feels like this is only the start. Like still a relatively new pro, even though I'm 9 fights in. It's only been 16 months, so I do realise where I'm at, and I hope to, be one of the stars in the very near future.
Absolutely. It's been an exciting start to your pro career. Now, am I right in saying that your dad, just to rewind a little bit, was your dad a pro boxer as well, or was he just involved in the coaching side of things?
He was an amateur boxer.
Oh,
My dad's nearly 70 now, but he would have, I think he had around 130 amateur contests. So they guys are boxing nearly every week, like twice a week sometimes. He boxed. He won the Scottish Championships as well. He's actually from Salford, so he spent obviously his childhood down there, all through his teen years. Boxed when he was down there. Came up, boxed up here. Went to the Four Nations it was back then as an amateur. Um, yeah, and then never turned pro. Just from what he tells me, it was different back in those days where the money wasn't the same in it, and there was the demand to make money. I mean, he was out of the house when he was a young man, moved up to Scotland. He was like on his own, met my mum, so he had to be a working man from young. He didn't have the support system that I've luckily had with my parents growing up. I mean, if it wasn't for my parents growing up, I wouldn't be in this position in boxing at all. I wouldn't have had the support. It does require a lot of backing, so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, no, my dad's been boxing pretty much all his days like me.
interesting. Now, just to touch on there, you say you was boxing throughout your high school years, and you've got the
Hmm.
brilliant backing from your parents, but you've also got to have a lot of self-discipline. There's a lot of temptation at that age. Obviously, we've all been there. Teenage years is you kind of like channeling all your emotions, all your feelings, your body's changing, and a lot of self-discipline's involved there. Not to give out and go down another route with sport or down another route with friends, partying, all that kind of thing. Tell us a little bit about the discipline at such a young age to keep on the right path and keep focused with the boxing.
Yeah, I mean, having my dad as the boxing coach made obviously life a lot easier. He would be going to the boxing anyway, so it just fell into a normal sort of routine. And I was always competitive anyway, whereas I loved football. My friends loved football as well. I do football twice a week, about boxing 3 times a week. Um, yeah, and then obviously as you said, like when like young people start to get a little bit older, and with the discipline side of it, I feel as if you know being a competitor from a young age and all through, like, I never took any like time out of boxing, or I was lucky enough not to have like any injuries and stuff. I always had something on the horizon, whether that was like the Western District Championships, Scottish Championships, and even it was like Scotland like the Scotland junior team used to only train on a Saturday mornings, and you would be working all week in the local amateur boxing club to turn up ready for the Scotland training at the weekend because you'd be sparring guys from all over the country. So I was like really fixated on that. Maybe as a distraction from, as you said, like temptations and things like that. Even as I got older, maybe like 18, 19, yeah, I've still been on my nights out and still had a good life. Well, loads of mates who's obviously backed me with the boxing side of it as well. I've just like yeah. There's a part of you feel socially excluded because you are different and you are the boxer and like in that big group of people you're the one that kind of stands out. But I've just believed in myself that as I said when I got to maybe 18, 19 years old when I won the nationals when I was traveling the world with the Scotland team. I'm like I'm gonna like I can be good at this. Why not give it a go? Um, I love one of my favorite things about boxing is winning, like being successful. I'm really driven to be successful. Obviously, taking part is fun, and that's the whole point. But to win's the goal and everything. Whether that was a club show in the minors club, or whether it's your pro debut or a title fight, it still hits the same when you get your hand raised. And that's all that's what's driven me throughout my young years up until now. So yeah, I'd even now, even if I walked away from boxing now, I'd say it was all worth it. But I believe that there's still a bright future ahead for me in professional boxing.
Definitely looks like there is a bright future ahead. Stephen, let's skip forward a couple of chapters. So you have a successful amateur career, you go through two Commonwealth Games cycles, then you make the decision to turn pro. I'm guessing you would have been around 25, 26 years of age at the time of turning pro. Tell
Yep.
us about the decision to turn pro at that point. Like you say, two cycles at the Commonwealth Games, an extensive amateur background. Was he ever a temptation to go earlier? Did you ever feel like you was conscious of time and what not wanting to turn pro any later? Take us through that mindset to get into the pro ranks.
Um, from winning the nationals and stuff when I was 19, just about turning 20, a lot of the focus on a lot of these multi-nation tournaments build up was towards the Commonwealth Games. So I went to the Gold Coast in the Commonwealth Games when I was 20, had a decent run in the tournament for being as young as what I was, and I reached the quarterfinals. I was very unlucky not to progress onto the medals. Um, even people still speak to me about that fight who watched it saying, "Oh, we thought you won," but you know, couldn't argue, and I didn't think I did. And I had it even leaving Australia on the flight home. I'm telling myself I'm going to go back to the Birmingham Commonwealth Games in 4 years' time and get on that podium. I'll do whatever it takes. Um, and obviously done my studying along that time. Went to college, went to university, graduated, and like as quickly as it came round, the Commonwealth Games happened again. Obviously with the qualifying process and all the training camps and the big tournaments that not a lot of people notice. Obviously, it's not as publicised these sort of multi nations when you're abroad, but how difficult it is to jump through the hoops to qualify. People only see like the end goal, but to get to that stage was like so difficult. And managing to be a student and graduate with an honours degree at that time as well. And then obviously I didn't medal at the Commonwealth Games, and I graduated, and I felt as if I've came to a dead end. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was 24 at this point. This I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I was really in a rut for a good few months, and my heart was telling me I need to box. My head was telling me just go and get a job. You've good qualifications. You're a bright kid. You've had a great career. However, I managed to be accepted to go and do a master's degree. That was over 1 year, and that was full time. So I knew that would take a lot of my time up. And I still boxed, and I still was still part of the Scotland team for a good few months after that. Went to another tournament in Macedonia, done a few training camps with them, and then we got into the first half of 2023, and I decided to walk away from the Scotland team to focus on the rest of my master's degree, which I knew was going to be heavy duty for the next 8 months. Um, During that time, I got speaking to guys in America where I went over and trained in Vegas in the top ranked gym and got to meet a lot of interesting people in boxing: Wayne McCulloch, David Hay, and I was considering beginning my career over there. I was really exploring my options. I done so locally as well, in the UK. But I had an opportunity to go to Vegas and train over there and sign a contract with managers over there. And I thought, you know what, I'm young. I'm going to test this and see how it goes. And unfortunately, the way things happened, it didn't materialise in the way I hoped. It took too long to get things over the line. Going abroad is difficult enough. Um, and I was obviously getting cautious of time at this point, and I'd already made connections with Kevin Marie that year as well, and I had a, a strong gut feeling that Kevin Marie would be the best person to guide my career. Went and got my British license, had my debut early in 2025, and since then I've been very busy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one way to put it. It's certainly very busy. Now, you work with Kevin Marie, you're trained by Billy Nelson. He's a proper British boxing stalwarts, proper boxing men, aren't they, through and through? So, at the stage of your career, you kind of guided by a really good manager and trained by an excellent trainer. So, talk to me about those relationships. You mentioned there with Kevin Marie, but also Billy Nelson. He's a interesting character. I've had him on the channel a good few times. He's a great guy, Billy. And how is he as a trainer? What's that relationship like, fighter and trainer relationship?
Yeah, Billy's. I've got a lot of time for Billy. I really like him. I've obviously known him since being a young kid. Very good friends with my dad as well. And yeah, sparred a lot of his guys over the years too. He's invited me in. Sparred the likes of Lewis Crocker when he was fighting. I think it was early last year. Sparred his other guy from the Congo, Emmanuel Colombo. Um, a good few times as well. So Billy's invited me over, and it's gave me really good experience in learning as well. And but now having Billy as my trainer, I see a different side to him. It's more like, obviously, when I've been sparring his guys, he's not coaching me. I'm only like in the gym. But when he is coaching me, I can now appreciate his attention to detail, and his coaching critical eye is second to none. He's got the results for a reason. And like you said, yeah, he can be a controversial character, and some people don't like that. But he's um, he's very good at what he does. His heart and soul's in boxing, and he'll give you 100%. He's given me a lot so far, as I've been part of his stable, and it's only the start. It's not been long at all. Um, so yeah, I hope. I mean, like Billy Nelson's helped. Well, obviously, in very recent times, helped Lewis Crocker to get to a world title. In the past, he's helped Ricky Burns, another Scottish guy, reach world titles. So how can I not be the next guy that Billy Nelson can help get a world title? I believe it's possible, and I'll do whatever it takes to get as far as I can and be a world champion.
Absolutely, it's the goal to set and the aims to have. But looking at your
Mhm.
career so far as a whole, 9 fights, 9 wins. You've fought a lot in England. You've had 6 fights in Oldham, and like you say, your dad there from Salford. So you kind of got those roots in the northwest. Talk to me about that, about bringing your fans down. Have you got a following, or have you got fans here in the
Yeah,
northwest? What's that
yeah.
dynamic for
I've
Stephen
got
Newns?
I've got a lot of I've got a lot of my dad's side of the family. A lot of them support me and back me, and have done as an amateur as well. I mean, a full team of them came down to Birmingham in 2022. All of them turned up in numbers when I'm fighting in Oldham, and even a good few of them came up to Scotland for my last one as well in Glasgow, which was only just over 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised when I walk out to the ring and I hear the noise. Think, cause I'm still feeling, part of me is like, oh, you're an away fighter here. Like, I'm not from the northwest of England, but I come down and I hear the noise and it feels like, yeah, no, I do feel confident at home. Obviously under Kevin Marie's wing, and he's guiding the career perfectly. But when I come down and fight down there, it feels like my office now. I've as you said, six fights down in Oldham, on the shows. I've been built up very well. I've been lucky enough to have slots on the shows by Sam Kinnock very recently. I managed to debut on Ian Wilson's show as well, and which was only 3 miles from where I was from, which was class. And I appreciate those guys giving me that space on the card. Um, so no, it's good. It's good to have I've got a good following and a good backing, and I hope to keep building on that. I hope you know. I mean, I was at the show in the Braehead on Saturday night. I managed to get a last minute ticket, and hearing the noise. Even the last four fights that were on, I managed to catch Willie Hutchison's fight when I just arrived, and it was like, well, I believe that this is the stage for me, and I hope the next big show up in Scotland, I'm on the card. I'm either fighting for a title or I'm close to it.
So, that segues into a subject that I was going to bring up later on, but we'll hit it while we're
Mhm.
on that point. Josh Taylor, for a long time, was the flag bearer for Scottish boxing. He done extremely well, undisputed world champion. He won the Muhammad Ali Trophy, amongst a lot of other accomplishments. We've had Ricky Burns, again, another world champion. Other fighters up in Scotland that I don't want to do the disrespect to forgetting the names. But there seems to be that opening now, doesn't he, in Scottish boxing? You've got Nathaniel Collins, he drew for the European
Mhm.
title last time out. Aston Brown on the undercard, Willie Hutchinson. There seems to be a point there, doesn't there, for Scottish boxing and for someone to really break through, take it by the scruff of the neck, and be that next guy in Scottish boxing.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's like there is space for, as you said, like the next star. And do you know what? Like all those guys that you've mentioned there, I wish them all the best of luck. I hope that we're all doing it together. I know that it's an individual sport and it's you versus you. I'm not out there to compete against the likes of Nathaniel and Willie Hutchison to be the next big star in Scotland. I hope we all can kind of do it together. But and like what I do mean to say is, well, there is space for me up there too. There is. I know I can be fighting for titles and get bringing a good crowd to you know into big arenas and stadiums to watch me fight on the big stage and and be up there with some of the best guys that pro boxing has to offer. I've been in with some of the best amateurs in the world. Why can't I be in with the best pros? And you know I don't. I believe I'm not far away from that.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of 2025, you've been very active. Been very active since you turned pro. To be fair, you've got 9 fights in. Is the
Mhm.
plans to fight once more in 2025? Is that the plan to get out once more this calendar year?
Perhaps, yeah, perhaps. We'll see what happens. I don't want to speak too soon. But, I mean, people who have been in boxing, pro boxing, long enough know what it's like. It can be a phone call. Things can change in a matter of minutes. I keep myself fit and healthy all year round. I'm very lucky to be supported by physios, muscle injury clinic. I would like to give a mention to them as well. They've kept me in very good condition throughout my career. Obviously, like you hear about boxers, they'll get wee niggles and they'll get injuries throughout their careers. But I've been lucky enough to be backed by these guys every day of the week to make sure I'm fit and ready to keep to stay as active. They are certainly part of the reason why I've been as active. So yeah, a huge respect to all the guys at Muscle Injury Clinic and my good friend John for putting that all in place for me. So not to answer your question, I hope to get back out before the end of the year. I don't know when and where or who against, but I'm I'm ready for whatever.
Interesting. Now, in terms of, like I say, 9-0, at this point of your career, you kind of move around the weights, trying to figure out where's best for you. But once you kind of knuckle down and you start aiming for titles, is there an ideal weight that you'd like to fight at? Where or are you kind of open to different possibilities through maybe welterweight, super welterweight, and maybe even middleweight? What's the ideal fighting weight if you used to go down the title route?
I think first, firstly, for me to go down a title route, I think it's sensible for me to go down the super welterweight. So it's at 154 pounds, 11 stone. I think for me to reach my full potential as a professional prospect and champion, I go down the route of super welter. Obviously, we've seen I've done like a few on the day weigh-ins, and I've come in at middleweight for some of these fights as well. When I've been fighting these guys who are on the road, and I've had last minute opponent changes and things like that. I've been adaptable and done what I've had to do, and I can comfortably compete against these guys at middleweight, but I understand that there's levels to boxing, and when I do step up, um, I believe I can go very very far as a super welterweight competitor. And if the guys want to fight at middleweight as well, that's fine. That's fine. One thing I'd like to say as well is when it comes to the organisation and the business side of it, I leave that to my manager Kev, my coach Billy. My dad also has a huge part of my pro career as well. Has been part of it. He's been part of my boxing my full life, so he's good to still have him involved. And leave those decisions up to the guys. I'm like as a boxer, you need to feel invincible and you can beat anyone. And I've got that mindset. But there's sensible people in place like Kev who can guide that process and make those smart decisions. So when I'm when it when you see me in a title fight, you'll know that Kevin Marie knows I'm ready.
Interesting. Now, let's expand on that a little bit here, because one of the things that I was going to ask is we're coming towards the end of 2025 now. If we should be sat here in 12 months, Stephen, and we have a magical crystal ball in front of us that'll tell us what we're going to be talking about this time in 12 months, in an ideal world for you, what would you have accomplished in the next 12 months? This time next year, we're looking back. What would you tell me that you've accomplished?
I've um I've won my first title. I've boxed on at least one or two big cards on the TV, and I'm closing in on perhaps a British title. It's all hypothetically, like you said. I might go down a different route. Who knows? But that would be nice to do something along the lines of that. Um, my goal is, but I don't like to look too far in front, too far ahead in case I miss what's right in front of me. I'm a one fight at a time sort of guy. I was as an amateur when you're fighting it like you can fight 3 4 times a week. I was still the same sort of one fight at a time. So I want to keep that mentality as a professional. But I'll just beat them one by one, and I'll be up there.
Good mindset to have. Away from your career, just got your opinion on a couple of things. One of the things that have cropped up recently, it was Andy Croller in an interview that mentioned about the state of British boxing, and that although we
Mhm.
love some of these mega cards that we're getting from the Saudi influx of cash, we're getting these mega cards, and some Callum Smith against Joshua Buatsi was opening one of their shows. Now that's a headline show anywhere in Britain. You're cutting your teeth at the small hall level. You're looking to break through onto the TV shows. The middle ground, your average Saturday night show, are they the ones that are suffering here? Do you see a decline in British boxing, a crisis of such? Do you think the Saudi influence is good? Is anybody missing out? What's your thoughts on everything?
I mean, I feel like the Saudi influence. I feel like it's given a lot of people opportunity. It is. Is it taking away from big fights from here? I mean, I've not put too much thought into it as the likes of Crolla probably has. I mean, we're still getting a lot of big shows here, aren't we? Obviously, Ben Shalom's moved boxer to BBC now, and it's took time for that transition, and he'll need to pick things back up again because he's lost one of his best guys in Ben Whitaker, which he'll obviously be devastated with. But I mean, I don't think so. I think there's still even that show on Saturday we were at. That was class. That was some high level fights. Standout performance by Willie Hutchison. He was unreal. There's a world champion in that guy very soon too, I believe. Um, there was a recent show as well in Manchester where you had like Mark Chamberlain and Jack Rafferty. Um, what else did you have? You had Zach Miller on the card as well. I don't think so. I think there's loads of talent, both on the big cards here and in Saudi. It's just maybe it's like the mega stars are in the cards in Saudi Arabia, and it's like it's giving us another level to get towards, and it's actually making some of these big fights possible that we might have not have seen maybe all these years ago. So, I think, in my opinion, it's got more pros than it has cons, but time will still tell as well. Maybe in the next 5 years, I might be saying different.
Yeah, we definitely will wait to see how it all unfolds. It'd be
Mm-hmm.
amiss of me not to expand on a name we've already mentioned there, and Lewis Crocker winning the IBF welterweight world title.
Mm-hmm.
Success breeds success. So when you see a fighter like that in the gym go and win a world title in the fashion that he did, I'm sure you was very proud of your stablemate. And yeah, like I say, success breeds success. So it's good times in the gym.
Oh, mate, I was buzzing for him. I mean, I've not seen Lewis since. He'll obviously be spending a bit of time with his friends and family back home. But no, I'm delighted for him. He's a really nice kid. Uh, one of the hardest punching guys I've sparred round about the weight. Like, insane power. I think there was always going to be a world champion in him, and we've seen the close fights with him and Paddy Donovan. I'm sure Paddy Donovan will come again as well. He's top quality as well. But Lewis, I'm buzzing for him, man. Buzzing for him. Buzzing for Billy as well. Delighted for that guy too. He's put a lot of time and effort into Lewis, and this guy's the limit. He's got the options and the cards on his table, and what he does next. I know he wants Conor Ben, and it would be, as you said, like very exciting times to be around the camp and on the build up to some of these fights. And I hope to be able to help him out with some sparring again because I know it's good for me, but it's tough going. But as you said, success breeds success, and yeah, it's a nice feeling to surround yourself with guys who are better than you, so I can look at them as inspiration.
Absolutely. We look forward to what's next for Lewis Crocker. We look forward to what's next for Stephen Newns Jr. But before we close out, Stephen, I could speak to you all evening here, but I know time's time.
Mate.
Anything you'd like to add before we close out?
Um, Thanks for having me on. I'll definitely be up for coming back on again, hopefully with some updates with my next fights and whatever. And yeah, just thanks to every single person out of the past 16 months when I've had all my 9 fights, every single person who's went into their own pocket, paid money, and given their time to come watch me because it doesn't work without you. It doesn't when and you need the support for these shows to go ahead you know and I hope to take you all to the top with me when I'm fighting for titles and on the big shows.
Absolutely, guys. Make sure you follow the Stephen Newns Jr. journey. Make sure you check him out on social media. Check out SimBoxx while you're there as well. Please hit the like, the comment, give us a share, give us a subscribe. It all helps. And I'll catch you on our next interview. Thanks for your time today, Stephen.
Nice one, buddy. Take care.